and software interrupt. So we have discussed how hardware interrupt works. So here you need to understand so many key terms in these three topics. Okay, so try to go each topic. I have shared the video of these three topics. Try to go through, understand. If not possible, okay, you come and meet me. I'll just explain. Okay. So don't postpone the things. That is very, very important. So today we'll just move on to the software interrupts. Okay. So how software interrupts are handled. So have you come across any situation where the execution of the program is stopped in between? Due to what reason? Did you come across? Is it, I think whatever the program you executed, it is executed every time successfully. Somewhere due to some either the wrong input, okay, or whatever the computation it is doing something divided by 0, okay. So such a scenario, what happens? The execution of the program is going to stop. Yes, no? Have you observed all those things in code blocks when you are running? Abnormally, the program is going to terminate. Even though you have so many statements in the program, it may not execute all. So because of the input given or whatever the conditions you have specified, so immediately what happens? The execution of the program is going to stop. So what are the reasons due to that the program is going to interrupt? Stop means it will stop the execution of the program in between. So it is nothing but a software interrupt. So normally we call it as exceptions. Okay, exceptions. So interrupt caused by interrupt request sent by the IO devices. So we have discussed with respect to the IO device. So how interrupts are encountered with respect to the interrupt sent by the IO device. So that we have discussed. So now we'll just move on to the other category of interrupts. So that is interrupt could be used in many other situations. Example, I told the programs. So where execution of one program need to be suspended and execution of another program need to be started. So that's what it happened in the interrupts. So we have compared interrupts and subroutines. So what is the difference between interrupts and subroutines? What happens when interrupt occurs? What happens when interrupt occurs? Consider processes started executing one particular program. Okay, so in between due to some urgent work or the urgent task to be executed by the processor, immediately it will stop the execution of the current program. Okay, so whatever the execution of the program it is doing by the processor, it will be stopped, and whatever the new task it comes, it is going to start executing that new task. So in between it has to perform some particular operation. What is that? Before switching to the interrupt request, yes, save. Okay, so address, because it has to return back to the same location and it has to continue. It's similar to your function. Just remember how function is called. Once function is finished, how exactly it will come to the same location. Okay, so many times with so many examples I have explained. So how subroutine works. So subroutines, we are going to use the term subroutine in assembly language. The same thing you can compare with the functions in high level language. Okay, so similar to subroutines, even interrupt works. So that means it has to suspend the execution of the current task and it has to start the execution of the new task. So in between, it will take some amount of time before handling that interrupt request. It requires some amount of time that I already told. It is called interrupt latency. Okay, so that is for storing the return address and also whatever it is computed between that particular time, it is going to save all those values into the stack. Okay, because once it is returned from the interrupt request, it has to continue, no? So for that reason, it requires to store the state of the current program, including return address. Okay, then it will perform the execution of interrupt request, come back, and it is going to restore the whatever the state it was stored, that will be restored, and processor is going to continue the execution of the program. So this was I explained already in interrupts. So now how it works for exception, it is very similar to that but with small changes. So in general, the term exception, have you used the term exception? Have you used technical term exception anywhere? where you have used. Okay, it's okay. So the term exception is used to refer to any event that causes an interrupt. Okay, any event. So I told now one example, that is something divided by 0. What is the result of that? What you will get? Some value divided by 0 means what? Infinite. Okay. So that means it is not going to compute any result. So in that case, what happens? Did you executed that statement any time? What was the output you got? What happens immediately? The program, it is going to terminate. Did you observe? So even though if you have sequence of lines followed by something divided by 0, even though you have some set of lines below that, so here this particular event, the execution of this particular event causes interrupt. That means it is going to stop execution of this particular statement and it will come back to the program and it will display that there is an abnormal termination of the program. Okay, so that is one example of exception. Not only this, and how many of you used code blocks? How many of you used code blocks? How you are going to run your programs? I think everybody have used code blocks, no? So how you have executed your programs? Just build and run, that's all. In case if you have an algorithm to, like if you are not getting the proper output, so if you want to trace, how you are going to do that? How will do that? I want to know in some particular set of line there is an error. Due to that I am not getting the expected output. In that case, you just go back and check it. There are options called breakpoints. Okay, there are options called breakpoints. I am going to explain about that, but I have not installed code blocks to show it. Okay, and one more called trace. Have you used trace option? If not, try later. So just whenever if you have some loop and if you are not getting the correct output, so you can use these two options to debug your program. So this is done for debugging your program. If you are not getting correct output in a particular part of the program, okay, just go for breakpoints. That means you can just run only those set of lines. Without these two, what happens if you run? So all the statement it is going to execute and you will be getting the console. Okay, but if you are using these two, each time it will execute one statement, okay, and there will be an interrupt and you will be getting the console. Okay, so once again, if you give some particular input, it will come back to the code and it will execute the next statement. It will go to the console to get the next line input. So that is how the breakpoint works. So each time there will be an interruption in execution of the program. So in those two cases, so where you can use, I'll just explain in the debugging case. So you can just remember that is one type of exception. So how you can classify exceptions here? Mainly there are three categories. One is recovery from errors, note down parallelly. Okay, important points. No need to write all the complete explanation, just note down important point. So this is also very, very important. What are exception? Explain different types of exception. Normally, they will ask in the exam for 6 to 8 marks. Okay, so there are mainly three types of exceptions. One is recovery from errors, okay, and the second one is called debugging, and the third one we call it as privileged exception. If you have attended previous class, maybe you come across with this privileged exception I explained. Okay, so now also I'll explain once again. So we'll just discuss what are these, how these three different types of exception works. Okay, what do you mean by recovery from error? What do you mean by debugging? Debugging everybody knows just by running the program, complete program. But you have different options that you can use to interrupt the program. So we'll go with the first one. I want pin drop silence. The first one is recovery from errors. Do you know how the data is stored in the disk? So, and how it is going to ensure that whatever the data you have stored, and you will be getting the same data when you are trying to retrieve. Do you know how data is stored in the disk? Do you think So just it will just dump whatever the programs you are creating or files you are creating. No, along with that it is going to use its own technique of checking the errors. So that method we call it as ECC, error checking code. For each of the data, whatever you are going to store in the hard disk, okay, it is going to calculate what is the error checking code. Okay, when it is storing, I am just storing a word information called word. So for this, what is the ECC? Okay, so it will calculate along with this. It is going to store that value along with the word. So whenever the processor trying to fetch this information, so before fetching, it will check that is this word or the information is correct or not by checking with this ECC. Okay, so how it is ECC is calculated? Maybe any subject you will come across with parity checking. Okay, even parity, odd parity. So with respect to binary number, so they are going to calculate. So it won't store in the character form. It will be in the binary only. The data will be stored in the binary form. Okay. So if in the data it is having odd number of ones, then parity will be set to 1. Okay. If it is even number of ones, the parity will be set to 0. Some technique it is going to use to recheck whenever the processor tries to fetch this data. It will calculate, it will apply this parity check to this data and it will check is it the data whatever it is stored is correct or not. Okay. In case due to some problem with the disk, so the list of value 0 or 1. What happened here now? Is it the value is correct here? Whatever it is stored in the disk? According to the parity what I told, if it is even number of ones, it is 0. If it is odd number of ones, the parity is going to be 1. Okay, according to that I thought 1 bit is modified. So now, okay, so now I have, okay, just a moment. So if it is odd, the value will be 1. Okay, so this is my data. Okay, so now what I do, I just change this bit is I change 0 to 1. What happened? The parity. Is it correct now? Parity is correct. Even number of ones are there, but here parity is 1. So it is not matching. That means there is some error in the data. So that is how the data is stored and it is going to fetch. And also we have error correction algorithm. Maybe you will not be knowing all that process is taken care by the operating system. Okay, operating system is going to take care of all these operations. Okay, so this is called as error recovery. Recovery from errors. Okay, errors in the stored data, how it is going to identify and it is going to correct using ECC algorithm. So next, when such errors are detected, exception processing is initiated. Okay, it is going to start the method called exception if there is any error in the data, and it will use the standard algorithm to correct the data, and the calculated or corrected data will be given to the user. Okay, that is one simple example how it is done. Okay, so now what is the difference between handling IO, interrupt request and exception? I told both are similar. So any event that causes an interrupt, I told it is an exception. Any event that causes an interrupt, we call it as exception. So now how you can differentiate interrupt request or interrupts and exception? So there are mainly two, there is mainly one difference, that is in case of interrupt request. Understand? So whenever if there is an interrupt request, processor usually completes the execution of instruction in progress before branching to the interrupt service routine. Okay, so whenever if there is an interrupt request encounters, so whatever the task it is going to, it is doing, the processor is executing, that statement will be executed, and afterwards it will give the control to execution of interrupt service routine. So that is in case of interrupt request. So now what happens in case of exception? Okay, so in case of exception processing, so that is execution of instruction in progress usually cannot be completed. So I told one example, so something divided by 0. Okay, so some value, something divided by 0, what happens? So the execution of this statement itself, it is going to be incomplete and it will stop the execution of this statement, and abnormally the program is going to terminate. So that is the main difference between exception and interrupt request. Okay. So in case of interrupts, whatever the current instruction that is executed by the processor, it is going to complete. Then after completion, it will give the control to interrupt service routine, execution of interrupt service routine. Okay. But in case of exception, so that statement itself, it is going to be executed incompletely. Okay. It is not going to complete the execution of this statement, and it is going to raise an exception message indicating so there is an abnormal termination, or sometimes you may get an output that is NAN, something like that. You are going to get the different error message, and to get this error message, so it has to execute the exception processing. Okay, it has to run the exception program or the method. Then only you will come to know that why that error or why that interrupt is encountered. Okay. So this is all whatever I am explaining with respect to exception, it is an example of software interrupts. Are you able to differentiate? Did you got the difference between interrupts and exception? So I can go with one more example, that is debugging. So everybody knows what is the meaning of debugging, how to debug the program. Okay, so here what happens? So this is another important type of exception that is used for debugging the program. So system software usually includes a program called debugger. So any compiler you take, not only code blocks, any compiler you take for compiling your programs, it will be having the debugger. So with the help of debugger, it will be able to identify the errors, syntax errors, okay, logical errors. So all those things can be taken care by the debugger. So how exactly it is going to debug the program? What are the different ways? Okay, so programmers find errors in the program using debugging. So debugger uses exception. So what type of exception it uses? One is called trace method and another one is called breakpoints. Anybody used Turbo C for execution of C programs? Anything, C++ or C. So have you used Turbo C software? Maybe in first year they have used code blocks only. Even in code blocks also this option is there. Only thing is you need to use it. Okay, you need to use it. What happens is listen here, trace mode. You need to keep the program in trace mode. Okay, whenever the program is in trace mode, what happens? Whenever the program is in trace mode, it is going to execute line by line. Okay, so you just try in code blocks how to use trace mode or breakpoint will come to. So in Turbo C you need to use F7. So it will just execute one line and it will go to the console, and after giving the input it will come back to the program. Okay, so that you can just see how exception occurs. That means the execution of the program is stopped and it will be switching over to the console. So that is one simple example of exception using debugger. One is called trace and breakpoints. Breakpoints I already told. So whenever if you have a for loop, okay, and if there is any issues with the for loop, maybe whatever the value you are getting, it may be not correct. In that case, you can set the breakpoint from this line to this line. Okay, whenever the program execution encounters to this statement, okay, between these lines, it raises an exception only for the set of lines. So that is using breakpoints. So why you need these breakpoints? For debugging your programs. Okay, at some point of time, if you are doing complex project, it is having so many set of lines. So then you have to use all these things, breakpoints, trace. So trace you will come to know. So by executing each statement, what is the value that is stored in the variable? All those things you will come to know. Okay, it is there in the code blocks. Whenever you are free or whenever you are doing your DS program execution, you can just try those options. Okay. Okay, so what is the difference between these two? Main differences: exception occurs in case of trace mode. Exception occurs after execution of every instruction. Okay, so if you have the complete program, this is main. Okay, from year to year. So all the statement, for all the statement there will be an exception in case of trace mode. For every, once it is executed the first statement, there is an exception. Then it will go to the second statement, exception. So if you execute, then only you will come to know what happens using trace mode and breakpoints. But in case of breakpoints, you can debug only set of lines. Which are the lines that you can select? So you can just use your mouse, just click on that particular line. That particular line will get selected. Okay. So there is some method you need to follow for using the breakpoints. Okay. So here for breakpoints, exception occurs only at specific points selected by the user. That's what I told. Whichever the line, set of lines you have doubt, so you can just select those lines and you can go for execution of the program. So that is one type of exception. Next we have privileged exception. Okay. So I already told in the previous class, always the system will be running in two modes. One is system mode, or we can call it as supervisor mode, and another mode we call it as user mode. Okay. So always the system is running in two modes. So now what happens? So there are certain instructions can be executed. Okay. There are some set of instructions, like even if you take MST. Okay. So we have more privilegization compared to you people. Okay. I can upload the files. Okay. I can do so many changes, but that is not permitted for the student. Similarly, compared to admin, I have less privilegization. Okay. So blocking, unblocking, I cannot do. So that can be taken care by the admin. So admin is having more privilegization. So like that, even in the system, in the operating system, always it is going to run the system in two modes. One is supervisor mode and the second one is user mode. So whenever the system, if it is running in the user mode, and there are standard instructions that can be executed only in supervisor mode. If you are running in the user mode, it rises an exception. So that exception we call it as a privileged exception. Okay. So privileged exception. So there are set of instruction called privileged instruction. Okay. That is modifying the priority of the device. Some particular information that can be done only in the supervisor mode. Okay. So if you are trying to, and those set of instruction we call it as privileged instruction. Okay. So the instruction that can be executed in supervisor mode, we call it as privileged instruction. So if an attempt is made to execute privileged instruction in the user mode, okay, it rises an exception called privileged exception. Okay. So that means you may get an error indicating you are not having privilegization to execute that particular operation. Okay. So that is one type of exception called privileged exception. So privileged exception occurs in these cases. One is processor to switch to supervisor mode. Okay. Whenever if you are trying to execute from user mode, so in that case you will get a message that you need to change to supervisor mode to perform that particular operation. Then execution of an appropriate exception service routine. We have discussed what is ISR, many times I've used. What is ISR? Interrupt service routine. On request of interrupt, the processor is going to execute interrupt service routine. Similarly for exception, so whenever there is an exception to give the error message, okay, something divided by 0, okay, it should give a proper error message. For that, it requires one particular function should be executed. So that function we call it as exception servicing routine. Okay, that is called ESR. Okay, don't use the term short terms ESR or ISR. Just for writing purpose I have used. ISR is okay, in the textbook they have used. So for exception, use exception servicing routine. So that function is going to tell what is the problem, due to what reason the program is interrupted. Okay, is it clear? Are you able to understand what I am explaining?